Hello, hello, hello. What a mess my desk looks. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. I got a little bit of a different setup for the camera being further away, and I didn't realise how much of the mess it would be showing. There you go, we live and learn. Wondering if anybody will show up for the live today. I'm in a funny mood. Um, Hi to anybody that shows up later. I normally do Q&A on a Sunday, and I've also said I normally have like a little bit of a theme as I get started because people join me a couple of minutes later. And the theme for today was that I'd asked somebody for help. Well, somebody had reached out to me and said, "Do you want to join this coaching feedback session and talk about creativity, different things?" And I said yes. But I had already said to myself, I need help. I need to be talking to some people about the YouTube channel and about the whole creator business type of thing. Oh, I've just noticed that my mic, is it working? Yeah, I can see that there's a couple of green dots. So I wanted to talk about, yes, what I'd done is I'd said I want some help. And that's great. But before I went on this Zoom call or whatever it was, I found an amazing website that I was really thrilled to find. And it made me think about, when you set that intention of I'm looking for help, I'm open to help, I'm all these things. And I wonder whether, I mean, some people think it's kind of spiritual, isn't it? That, you know, that you set an intention and you manifest something. But also some people talk about it. What is it? I can never remember the right word. Is it reticular activation thing? When you've bought a blue car and then you see blue cars everywhere, that kind of thing. And I wonder whether by actually saying to somebody, yes, I want help, I'm going to come to your call, I'm going to have this conversation, that by just doing that, that I started to find other help. So I found a website where they were talking about building a business in a way that felt really good to me, where a lot of the advice I'd been receiving, or say receiving, finding on YouTube, I think, what do they call it? It gave me the ick. And I think a lot of the advice that I was seeing gave me the ick. And what I'm realizing is that some people focus on the strategy side and some people focus on the creativity side. And you're trying to make sense of that for yourself. And some people will say, yes, go for subscribers, views, timed, you make the type of content that is wanted. And then I was experimenting with something else, as in, what am I making? Who are my people? Who's showing up in the comments? What kind of comments are there? And obviously the big experiment was what's possible for somebody like me because of being ill and not being able to go out to work. Can I have a business or a creative business at some point in the future? Can I learn those skills? Can I be of service? Can I help people? So, hi, Mamie. I was just chatting to myself. Thank you for coming. I was talking about asking for help and the idea that sometimes when you ask for help, when I agree to do a call or a workshop with somebody, and I wonder whether just putting that idea out there meant that I started spotting help in other places. Hi, Beth. Hi to you both, and thank you for your congratulations. I haven't really said anything here. Um, I have reached 1,000 subscribers. I am very happy about that. Very grateful to everybody that subscribed. I hit 1,000, then I went down to 999, and then I hit 1,000, and now it's gone to 1,001. It's so close that's why I've hesitated doing a video saying woohoo and I'm pleased and everything. I do feel like I'm holding my breath a little bit. But yeah. So Mamie, I'm not sure whether I sent you. I was talking about this website a second before you got here. The name of the website is Kenning Zoo, should anybody be curious. KENINGZHU.com. And she was talking about world creation, and she was talking about it as a world creation versus content creation. So that when you have your website or your social media or your YouTube, there's a world that you create, and that's the intention. The intention is, I'm going to be creative. This is my space, versus I need people to click and I need them to buy. And she was talking particularly about there being a different energy of that. And I just found it, I just felt like she'd put into words something that I had been feeling. And I'm still figuring out the strategy, creativity, and what it is I'm doing. I mean, most of you know that I'm doing. This is all just an experiment. So Mamie was saying, first of all, Mamie says asking for help is so difficult, and people are saying hi, thank you. Uh, and then Mamie was also saying, I was looking at it, I got the message. Yeah. Did it resonate with you? That's what I was curious about. I'm telling people about her website. I don't think she's got much of a presence on YouTube. I think she's focusing purely on a weekly or bi-weekly newsletter that she does. But I just really like this whole world creation thing. Now, the only thing is that when you search for world creation, you get a lot of the fantasy novels kind of conversation. And she's talking about, you create the world as in, these are the values we have. This is, I can go in different directions. This is the vision I have. And you're very welcome to come visit me in my world. But it's much more of that as a focus, rather than some of the titles of seven tips and tricks to do this, and then you're selling something. The thing is, I do want a business as this, so I do feel some conflict in terms of wanting some strategy, and I do want to pay attention to some of the metrics. But I think my first goal is finding people that I want to hang out with, and then what value can I add for different people. But again, it's all an experiment. It's all an experiment. So Mamie says, yes, it did. I come from a content marketing profession, but that's not what I've been trying to do with my online presence. Yeah. I see, when I hear the experts talk about content marketing and about the different strategies, it all makes perfect sense to me. It just feels wrong. And it's really hard for me to know whether it's because it's something new that it feels wrong and I'm just out of my comfort zone, or if it really is the wrong direction for me to go. So Mamie was saying it's a whole different environment and why I use different name. Yeah. When I see your work, Mamie, I feel like you're doing exactly what I'm doing. Is that, yes, building confidence, turning on the camera, but also, what do I want to talk about? you know, and and seeing where it goes. Certainly when smaller channel, and it's, I know some people say it doesn't matter, you can experiment being bigger, but I think that would slow me down a little bit. But for me right now, I feel like this is my chance. I can experiment and do different things. So, talking about experiments, in this conversation I had today, they were talking about writing haikus, and that would be useful as a skill for writing stories, because it's about distilling the story down to its main elements. And I know Mamie does a lot of writing, so I was researching videos about haikus. I've never Poetry has always scared me, and I've stayed away from it. But I can see that I might enjoy learning about a haiku if it's a means to an end to get better at the storytelling. So yeah, so just keeping my eyes and ears open about how to improve. Do you have any questions? I think people keep coming and going. So it looks like there's only one person here. What else can I say? Oh, Beth says, I like the idea of world building, mapping out what you want as a way of living and ethos. I think in a way that's kind of what has happened by accident is that a lot of the time when I've spoken to reaction channels, it's been about the artist Ren. And a lot of you kind of know that I felt one of the first videos I did was admitting to going down the rabbit hole of watching these Ren videos. But I wonder whether by having that as not that I'm making loads of content about Ren, but because we're it's almost like shorthand that as soon as I mention that name, there's certain values and expectations about how I will treat other people and how I think about creativity that kind of comes with talking about that artist. So I feel like that's kind when I was reading this lady's website, I thought that's kind of the way that I felt pulled. But it was really helpful for me to actually read somebody articulate it clearly rather than hearing some of the strategy and the different success. I can't remember the name of the website. I was watching an artist and she was doing feedback and reviews on other artists' YouTube channels. And I found that was really useful too because she was valuing the creativity. She wasn't thinking about it as a strategy, but she was saying she was she was she was highlighting what is communicating and the professional quality of that artwork for the different artists that she was talking to. And I thought, oh, that was useful because that's just a way to raise your standards. That's not saying, um, I don't know, have a strategy so that you're just paying, it's so you just get money off people. It doesn't know. Just, there's something cold about that. But she was saying about this is the kind of photo that really highlights what your work is. I would recommend you do a batch of photos at one time to save you time and energy. But think of this kind of framing, and that gives you a particular look for your, for the Instagram and for the YouTube. So I thought that was really good. Really good feedback. I feel like what I've been doing is just going, "Well," and throwing things out there, but I definitely feel like 2025 I nearly said 2005. 2025 is for what I was saying in this conversation today was it's for focus, but as I say, I'm just on that line of strategy and creativity. I still feel like I've so much to learn and so much to experiment with, but I would like to start narrowing it down and having some direction rather than just, well, I'm going to try anything. So yeah, so Beth was saying she likes the idea of world building. It's a shame I couldn't find much more. I would have loved to have seen a video with her. I think I've seen a podcast or an interview with her, which is just audio, which I do struggle to follow just audio, but I shall have a go. Mamie saying, haha, I had a little project with a couple of friends at a previous job and we rewrote song lyrics and haiku project. I think I still have them somewhere. But you're a writer, Mamie. Do you think if I took the time to learn how to do haiku that would help in storytelling? Does it help distill? And the lady was saying also that it helps in terms of word choice as well. And I thought, okay, I want to learn about the storytelling. I was supposed to do an experiment today of getting the drone out, but we didn't have the right app and we thought we had everything we needed and we didn't. So I didn't use the drone. The reason I mentioned that is that I was thinking about having experimenting with some drone footage, but doing a little bit of the storytelling with a voiceover later. But we shall see whether I get round to that later in the week. Dear me. Any other questions or updates on your life? I say we were talking about asking for help, and I know you guys have helped me and been on the phone with me. I'm curious because you've both offered help at different points at the time. Do you feel frustrated that I haven't got there quicker? I mean, are you thinking to yourself, "Oh my goodness, it's obvious what she should be doing." It is that happening to you? Because I heard something the other day and they were saying how if your life was a film, like a romantic comedy, what would the audience be shouting at the screen right now? It's like, "Oh my goodness, why didn't she just do this?" So, I do wonder whether, especially you guys who know me better, it's just whether you're just looking at me going, "Why doesn't she just do that? It's so obvious." And I'm in it and I can't see it. So maybe we're saying uh, maybe we was talking about haikus. Less haikus, but the micro story concept. Do they call it flash fiction or something like that? Micro stories, flash fiction? I can't remember which old-time author it was, but one I will always remember is For Sale, Baby Shoes, Never Won. Yes, I like that one. Well, I have heard that one. Sounds awful to say I like that one when it's such um, a sad statement. Yes. That seems super hard to me. I never really got used to using Twitter or X. I think there's an account on there somewhere, but I'm not good at the keeping it to short and sweet and the word choice. I think you can do longer tweet post right now, but I was that was never going to be my strength. Are you good at that? And then just at the same time I asked that question, Mamie goes, "I tend to ramble rant." Yeah. She says, "No." Yeah. That's famous story, isn't there, where something about, he wrote a really long reply or a letter or a speech or something, and they said, "Well, it was supposed to be shorter," and he goes, "Well, I'd need more time to make it shorter." Yeah. Oh, dear me. So anyway, do you find asking for help difficult? I think do you know what I find difficult, Mamie? I feel a little bit better about asking for help. What I find really difficult is being specific enough about the help that I want, in particular relating to the work side of things, because I did pay somebody quite early to give me advice and help about YouTube, and I think and she was perfectly nice with me, but I think she was a little bit frustrated. She was, "Well, what's the channel about, and what's the problem, and what are you solving, and who are your people?" And I was just like, "I don't know any of these things. I'm so new. I haven't figured it out, and I've tried waiting to figure it out before I make anything, and then before you know it, another year's gone past." So as I say, I think for me, it's a little bit easier to ask for some help, but I'm struggling to articulate how people can help me, so then I don't ask. Beth was saying, narrow down how you want to present things more consistently would be helpful. You still seem so unsure of yourself and your abilities. Yeah, I'm still working on it. You've probably noticed I've been kind of because doing the live, I see myself on the screen. And it would be better if I didn't have my glasses on, but I need my glasses to read the comments. But yeah, I still feel quite uncomfortable. I've changed the setup a little bit so that you can see a bit more of me and I can move my arms and different things. And that feels more vulnerable to me. So yeah, I definitely still feel unsure of myself and the abilities. I'm enjoying experimenting. There's definitely a voice in my head saying this is taking a really long time and maybe this is just not possible in terms of feeling comfortable. And then I speak to somebody else, I was doing an interview the other day and they were saying y- h- well, he was saying he never feels completely relaxed and comfortable and most of the reaction channels also edit their reactions so they know that if there's a problem. And a lot of them have done performance and they sing and play in bands and different things. So, dear me. But I think the whole point of doing this was to be completely honest and open about how uncomfortable that it's taking a long time and that I'm having to turn the camera on and hit record because there's something that I want in the future and I think these skills are going to be really useful. And I believe that I'm not sure that what heights or what quality or standard I can get to ultimately, but I do believe that I can get better from where I started. So I don't know whether you've ever heard of a book called Society of Timid Souls, and it's I think it was during the Second World War or something, and a lot of people were feeling very anxious generally about everyday life, and then this society was formed, Society of Timid Souls, and it was for practicing public speaking, and they were talking about just practice and feedback, and how that impacted not only their skills to express themselves, but also their level of anxiety about their everyday life. So, oh, Bells is here. Hi, Bells. Just a short pop by. Hi. So, so yes, so that's one of the inspiration. And also I know that I've improved from when I was younger in terms of speaking, because I wouldn't have said boo to a goose. But the camera feels like a whole new skill. So Mamie was saying, "It's letting more of yourself out." Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely feels way more comfortable to teach something. I think I'd feel a lot happier if it was, "I'm solving a problem, I'm just going to teach something, and I'm not gonna tell you much about myself." It was a really big step to talk about myself and to talk about, certainly if I'm mentioning being ill, or if I'm mentioning I'm not sure about things. So Bells is here and she's saying, "Just a short pop by. You do your live great." And then she's saying, "I admire you for this. Your interview is doing well." Um, I did an interview with Bells, and I've also done a reaction to a song that she wrote, if you're curious. And Bells is also saying, "Congratulations for 1,000 subscribers. Thank you." It it kind of burst the bubble a bit because I hit 1,000 the other day and then it went down to 999. And so today when I saw 1,000 again, I was like, do I celebrate? Or isn't it always the way when you think, oh, when I reach this moment, then I'll feel a certain way, and then you don't feel like that at all. And Mamie was saying, when I went home, my mum gave me an article about a woman who started a YouTube with home economics style channel, useful handcrafts and stuff, and it took her about 3 years, and now she has a retirement income with the videos she is posting. I've seen an article about a lady who ended up, uh, I can't remember what it was. Was it patchwork or knitting or crochet, or I can't remember. I think it was patchwork, and she's ended up selling kits and patchworks and stuff, and then she started a company, and it's pretty much taken over the whole town now. She was living in quite a small town, but it's now become the hub and center and the place to go if you're into this particular craft. I think it was patchwork, and loads of shops have opened up around what she started. I don't know. I mean, I'm in a really fortunate position at the moment. My husband works, travels, different things, and the bills are paid. So I'm in a very fortunate position that that's not something I have to worry about. I am aware of what's possible for the future in terms of retirement and different things. And it is a thought that crosses my mind of what's possible in terms of income, especially because I'm not so steady on my feet and I don't leave the house, and then I struggle with energy and different things. So it's not like, oh, I could just get a simple job that's outside of the house for a few hours. I am wondering. As I say, I think I'm just incredibly lucky that at the moment, what I can do is spend. Well, originally I thought a year, but 2 years, 3 years. I mean, how long can I spend doing this and experimenting and playing and seeing whether there's some income can come from this? It sounds I feel really bad talking about it because the whole goal is to express myself and to be creative. And at the same time, I would like to feel that that creativity and contribution was valued. and that I was doing something valuable. I think that's one of the things in terms of being ill and being home is that sense of what am I adding to this? I don't know if that makes sense to you. So Mamie says useful handcrafts and stuff. And it took her about 3 years, and now she has a retirement income with it. I think I just read that. And then says, "Wow, I can't patchwork. Much as I would love to finish some of my mother-in-law's unfinished pieces." My mom is a seamstress, incredibly good at sewing, and it just it just skipped a generation. I think for me, I knew I was so much slower, and I remember being on the sewing machine, and I just go, "Vroom, vroom." She'd say, "Slow down, slow down." I was like, "Oh no, I'm impatient," because I knew that she could finish anything, and she was so good at the sewing side of things. So I didn't really have much interest. My daughter, though, really loves the sewing and the knitting and watches YouTube videos about how to do it. And then, even when she was younger and Nanny would make her clothes and she would show the clothes to her friends and she'd say, "My Nanny is an artist." So it's very sweet. My mom made my cape for when I got married. Wore a cape and she made all the bridesmaid dresses. But no, skipped me. Belle's saying, "I'm so sorry I have to leave. I have to prepare some reactions for the week. It's holidays in Germany." But I love the interview with you and yeah. Thank you, Bells, and good luck with all the do this sometime. When I'm feeling a bit awkward, sometimes I do the whole thumbs up things, and then I look at myself and I'm thinking, what am I doing? But anyway, enjoy your videos. So Mamie was saying you're at less than a year and 1,000 subs, give or take. I think you're definitely on the right track. Thank you. I think, well, you know what it's like, Mamie. I think it's hard to imagine. What would I do if I stopped? It's not like my options on the table are, oh, I'll stop and I'll go get a job and I'll meet other people there. Right now, my options are I show up, I tell you about me, I figure something out, and you guys are the people that I'm meeting and interacting with. This is what my option is. Um, and I'm so pleased, like I wrote the books, I'm drawing the cartoons, I'm still creating things, I'm still learning, I'm, watching so much music that I had no idea. I look and there's like hundreds of millions of views on different videos, and I've never heard of the people. I can't believe it. And some people are reaching out to me, so on Instagram or via email and saying, "I'd like you to cover, do a reaction to this group." So it definitely has helped me in terms there's so many other benefits. And June 2nd is the 1 year anniversary of doing the daily videos. And I think it's September 11th that is the 1 year anniversary for the one video that became more popular. Because up until then I think I had about 160 subscribers. So Bells was saying, "I really like what you're doing here, but still have to go." Sorry. Still have to go. I thought you'd gone. Go. Shoo. Go do some work. Thank you for coming. Sorry, and hopefully catch you next time, Mamie. Just bought myself a new sewing machine. Um, yeah, we've got a sewing machine here, but it was a slightly cheaper sewing machine that for my daughter, but my mom was saying it doesn't have the ability to slow down. And my mom has had a needle go through her finger or the nail and stuff like that. And she says, really, for my daughter, we could do with using probably my mom's sewing machine, which is a better, more expensive one, but you have a lot more control over it. People saying bye. And then the last comment, Mamie, I have guilt when I skip lives, when I really can't feel the camera. Yeah, well, I must admit, have you done a live yet, Mamie? I'm not sure I've seen one of yours. You can see the numbers in the corner. You could see it pop, it'll go 4 people, 5 people, 4 people through. And, I mean, obviously I'm doing it in my voice. And all you well, like I say, is you really trying not to look at the numbers over there and to stay present. And normally I have something that I can talk about or rattle on about. It's something I'm really interested in, something that I'm thinking about writing and talking about. I half wrote a book about thinking on your feet, and now I'm saying that my mind's going blank. I half wrote a book about that, and I'm thinking, let's just finish that. So it's all good fun. So yeah, so there's lots of I think the fact that even though I was only doing the 1.5 minute videos, that helped have a little bit of momentum for I think I could do a 10-minute video today. And then the next day it was a one and a half. And then it was like a 6-minute video. So it was super slow at the beginning. But I clearly that's what I needed to get started. And it was pretty foggy. So have you recovered, Mamie, from all your travels and different things? Beth was saying, "What you're doing is great for you to experiment and learn new things, but for new viewers, it could be perceived as a little too introspective. That's why your interviews seem more outward looking." Yeah, I love the interviews, but I can't guarantee having somebody to interview. I reach out to quite a lot of people, and that just takes a little bit more time. I've got somebody booked for this week, so hopefully, I'll be able to edit and turn that around for Saturday, so that'll be great. Um, yeah, I do feel like, when you're saying about me being introspective, I do feel like sometimes, I've had comments on the daily videos of, "I'm not interested in this," and I felt like I'm doing this for me, and and that feels wrong to admit that, is that the reason I'm doing the 1.5 minute videos is for me. I wasn't trying to answer a question or be of service. I was so scared to hit record that it was just, "Joanne, can you hit record and just tell people what you've been doing?" Um, and I needed to keep doing that. So I'm looking where my phone is right now. I needed to keep doing that because I felt like if I had a bad day and I didn't record, then I would stop completely. So as I say, it really was it felt like the wrong motivation for doing videos, that, say that introspective, but that was just where I was and maybe still am a little bit. I love doing the interviews, but there's no way I would have reached out to people to do interviews if I hadn't been a little bit more comfortable and forced myself to hit record. So, I was thinking, would I recommend this to anybody else? And it's really hard to say that I would recommend it to if somebody was as uncomfortable as me being on camera, would I recommend it? It's just I was thinking about it. There was a TED Talk that I heard a while ago, and they were talking about average happiness, and in particular, they were talking about average happiness during parenthood, because they said your average happiness, average is an important point to this, goes up, and then you have children, then your average happiness drops, and then when the children leave home, your average happiness goes up again. And what they think is because what happens as you reach adulthood is if there's things you don't like, you don't do them. And then what happens with when you have children is life becomes a little bit more chaotic in terms of, say if you're talking about average happiness, things go wrong, things feel really bad, but there are really high moments too. And then obviously the children leave home and different things, and then they were saying your average happiness goes up. But I know when I was living in another country, we used to say all the time, highs are higher, lows are lower. But that's not talking about average happiness. So maybe average happiness, could you argue that it was lower? And the reason I'm saying that is that hitting record, doing this kind of project, going on YouTube or anything like that, especially being public about it and all the risks that come with that, would I recommend it? If you're looking for average happiness to go up, mm, I'm not sure I'd recommend it. But it is a case of highs are higher, the lows are bad, but the highs are higher, and then what am I leading to at the end? Ah, dear me. I don't know if that makes all sense, but I thought it was an interesting idea that thinking of happiness as in a average happiness, and that actually in times of more uncertainty, when you're having a phase of your career or your life, like being a parent, where there's so many unknowns, that your average happiness may be perceived as being less, but actually there's really, really high moments in that. Beth says, I love the daily videos and understand, but many viewers tune in to see something for them provided by the channel, to be entertained or learn something new. Yeah, I think ages ago, Beth, Mamie was saying, "Oh, keep going after the year," and I was like, I don't know, because it was it was for me to make sure I hit record. Oop, and now there's an advert popped up on my screen. I shall shut that down. But yeah, I can absolutely see that it's confusing and not necessarily of value to other people. I'm just needing a drink. Mamie was laughing and said, I was seriously considering asking you to interview about your books. You can practice on me, Mamie. I'll do an interview with you. Have you done any interview? I don't think I've seen any interviews, have I? You can practice on me. I did an interview with Lisa and Life as well. I think there's a couple of you, or a few of you, that have found the daily videos helpful for making you feel like it's possible for you to do your own channel and your own creating and stuff. And that's really great. So is there a value to keep going with them? I don't know. Or do I keep it as a project for 1 year? I don't know. So Mamie says, that is true, Beth, but sometimes it's nice to find something that resonates and makes me self-reflect. Mamie, I will say that I think I'm doing a terrible job of finding people that are looking for that kind of content. And I do feel like that's me in terms of how I've advertised it, titled it, packaged it. But I do think sorry, I just read her comment underneath. She says, "Nope, talking to real people?" Question mark, and then like, "Ooh," a little emoji or something. Yeah, I think I've done a really bad job of finding the people that that would benefit from hearing me work through that each day. I don't know what to call it. I know that I think what did we talk about? We said proto creators. You know, people who are kind of wondering about creating, kind of attracted to it, maybe, kind of. I mean, I think Beth likes the know what's going on inside my head, and sort of just understanding other people and their motivations and different things. But as I say, I know that I've done a bad job of packaging it like that, and I don't know what the answer is, because some people were saying to me, "Oh, you need to say you're working with creators or you're working with artists." It's like, I know when I was wondering what's possible for me and could I hit record. I was not searching for creator. I I don't know, what was I searching for? Help me out, guys. Mamie. So, Mamie, you started a channel and you said to me that it was partly because of seeing the different things that I was doing. But were you searching for content to encourage you to be brave and to start making things and sharing things? Were you searching for that? Or did you just accidentally find me because of me talking about Ren? And Beth is saying, the thing is, not every viewers want to have a YouTube channel. Maybe moving forward, think about videos you can create with the knowledge you have and ways to present towards the audience. Yes, but I you see that's the thing, Beth. I don't feel like my channel is going to be teaching people about YouTube channel. I think if there ever is anything sort of teachy-fied, I think that that would possibly be a spin-off product or call or something like that, completely separate. What I'd like to be leaning into more is, um, kind of the wordy bit and, me interpreting the messaging of music and how quickly can I express an idea or how well can I do that? I'm I think that that would be fun. That to me links to the cartoons, that there's a speed of finding the right words, naming a feeling or an idea, and coming up with something creative that hopefully resonates. And that to me connects the reaction videos with the cartoons. But again, I haven't communicated that yet. I've still been figuring out which parts do I really enjoy and that I want to keep. And I'm so interested in, speaking to the other creatives and the reaction channels too. So I need to put all the pieces together. That is what I need to do. Mamie was saying, I think part of what I kept coming back to was this search forward for creative direction and expression. It was the expression thing that drew me in. Yeah. That's I mean, I've still keep coming back to that word about self-expression. Oh, and so Beth is saying, "No, that's not what I meant. I meant presenting your stream of consciousness and cartoon towards your audience." Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, for me, part of the reaction videos for the music almost is a stream of consciousness in terms of very often I'm not analyzing the music. I'm interpreting what I'm seeing and then I'm going in a different direction of, oh, that makes me think of this and then it makes me think of that. So I suppose the reaction videos are are a way of having a starting point suggested to me and then I go off. Where the cartoon itself is a starting point, and then I go off. Yeah. I wonder, Beth, yeah, we'll see. I think what I need to do is keep pushing myself. Seth Godin, I don't know whether you know Seth Godin, he talks about marketing, and he says about going out to the edges, and I think what I need to do in terms of your ideas about stream of consciousness and just speaking, I think I need to go out to the edges and test myself a little bit more. I'm not sure what that looks like, but I have that feeling of I could be edgier. I could be doing more. Mamie says, spending so many years unexpressed and hiding myself, learning to express myself and accepting that was the spark. That was the spark. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I know that I mean, certainly that's one of the things for me. I think for me in terms of expressing myself, I was so much happier teaching something rather than talking about myself. I'd had people roll their eyes at me and uh, make it clear they weren't interested when I was, I don't know, interrupting them or talking about myself and different things like that. And I know in the interviews, definitely there's a voice in my ear saying, "Stop talking about yourself." And as I say, what I always say to people when I start the interview now is before I hit record, I say it's much more of a conversation. Please jump in, tell your stories. I'm going to try not to, but I probably will be talking about myself. And everybody's been really sweet and really kind about it. But as I say, it's weird. People talk about confidence speaking as if it's a switch, as in, "Yay, I'm confident and I can do cameras and on stage and I can talk about anything." And it just doesn't feel like that to me. Each situation and, if I'm talking about an idea that I feel very passionately about, then I start to feel more self-conscious and different things. So what was this? Mamie was saying, "I really need a bibliography of the books you keep referencing." Yeah. And I think you made a comment on one of the posts earlier about a song, and I thought, "Oh, we're the same age. We're talking about the same kind of music too." And Beth was saying, "Mamie, you would never know you spent years not expressing yourself. You seem very confident on your videos and so concise in the way you express yourself." Thank you, Beth. And I I know that you're talking to Mamie, I'm just saying thank you. Uh, One of the things I would say is, I think, because Beth, earlier you were saying about almost surprised that I'm not as confident as, clearly I am turning up on a live and doing different things. And then you're saying to Mamie, you seem fine. You seem articulate, you're concise in the way you express yourself. Um, it just proves what I've said for years now in terms of teaching with self-expression and communication stuff, is that you don't know how somebody is feeling. And I found that really hard. I thought that people could tell exactly what I was feeling. I knew that if I was shaking, people could see I was nervous, but I don't think they realized how nervous. I think they could see I was shaking a little bit, but I don't think they realized how nervous. And I know when people used to talk about, just speak, just speak. I was thinking, my mind is completely blank. I mean, honestly, completely blank. I went for an interview. I think I've told this story. I went to an interview in Madrid for a job, and I forgot my name. I forgot how to say hello in Spanish, which is hola. And then I said to myself, "Oh my goodness, Joanne, just speak English." And then I couldn't remember I didn't even say Joanne. I couldn't remember my own name. That's how terrified I was to speak. So there you go. Mamie was saying, "Oh, bless you, Beth. Thank you. I should have hit the stage with my acting." I think I hope, Mamie, that that's comforting, though, in terms of people don't know all the normal telltale things about, "Oh, I'm really nervous," or, struggling to find the words. People aren't seeing that in the videos with you. So whatever you're feeling, hopefully that gives you a little bit of confidence that is fine. That area is fine. I feel for you, it's more about you're experimenting with the content and what subjects you actually want to talk about, which is why I was thinking of you with this world creation type of thing, because I think that that would give us both a little bit more room to talk about different things. Because I know you're doing some of the reaction videos, but then, I was asking you, would you be talking about books or different ideas? I think you were saying about musing, but I think there's a few different subjects which I think that you could go off in. But then if it's more of in if you need your YouTube channel to be focusing on strategy and being a business, that's different. But if it's about this world creation and who are you going to attract into your world, who would you find really interesting and exciting to show up? Um, I think that's where you're going right now, but I don't know what you need. I don't know what you need. So Mamie is saying, "I have a nice stash of books to go at now." Oh, Mamie, I have so many books. I haven't been able to read for a little while now. Um, I read a page and then I struggle to comprehend things. But I love books, or I used to love books, and I used to love reading. And I've experimented with doing paper books. I experimented with more the Kindles and making notes. I've tried having Audible, and I'm not catching the words. So I haven't figured out what the answer is for the books yet. But I'm still buying them. I'm still buying them, and they're just building up on the side. Beth is saying, "Joanne, you're more confident in your live question and answers and interviews that with the reactions." That's interesting that you see that. I sometimes don't get how you feel about the tracks because you don't say that much about them. Yeah, I think I feel out of my depth talking about the music. And also, one of the things, Beth, with the reaction videos, honestly, it's like being hit with a wall. It's especially the blind reactions where I have no idea what I'm about to hear, whether it's rock or rap or anything. I really don't know. And then it goes Wah! And I'm like, what just happened? Like, I'm supposed to comment about it, and I don't feel qualified to talk about it in terms of music. But I was thinking today about this whole world creation, and I know what I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in the storytelling, and it's not just the words, it's everything that they do storytelling wise and what I'm interpreting. And I think I get a little bit stuck sometimes with the music, feeling out of my depth and feeling that my interpretation might be the wrong interpretation of something. So the re- I didn't set out to do reaction videos. The video that was more popular was I was saying to people, I'm a fan of watching reaction videos. That's how it started. And a few people said, will you do a reaction video? So I did a couple. I did a couple and then I did other things. But I noticed one that I noticed that I got a few views. Two, I got more reaction channels, people doing interviews. Happy to say yes, doing interviews. It was more like they saw me doing something similar, and I thought that that was quite interesting. And three, I realized it was really good practice for me. For this happens, and I was learning the tech as well. And then can I speak and do different things? But I definitely want to get better at it, and feeling and trusting myself about my reaction, being okay to talk about my reaction about the music is something that I'll be thinking about going forward. Beth is saying, maybe say far more in the music videos about what the tracks mean to you. Yeah. Beth, one of the things I was thinking is, sometimes in the reaction videos it says a reaction by a psychotherapist or a reaction by an opera singer or a reaction by the. And I was thinking, I don't know, would that help? Would that help if I gave myself some sort of title, reaction by, I don't know what I would call me. I don't know what I would call me. But I was thinking maybe if in the title I'm super clear that I'm not a piano teacher or somebody who knows the music side, that I'm interested in the storytelling and the meaning and understanding and self-expression, but I don't know what I would call myself. Oh gosh. I'm making my own head hurt thinking about some of these things. Why do I do this? Okay, let me read on. But Beth, yes, I hear you. And it's been on my mind. What's happened is last week I was ill. Sorry, I don't know whether that's making a noise. Last week I was ill for pretty much the whole week, and I happened to have some videos that had been pre-recorded before Christmas. So I had to figure out the process of challenging the copyright because they were saying they wouldn't release them. Then they were released. So those videos were recorded before Christmas, but I've definitely been thinking about it, and I'm very much hoping that after a good night's sleep tonight, tomorrow I can be doing some more recording. There's a couple of other artists. It may be that the next few videos are still older ones because I had a run of them that were challenged in terms of the copyright, but there's a few that are coming up, and for a couple of them I researched the words for the song because I was wondering whether that would help. Whether if I knew what the words were. I think you'd given me some advice previously about maybe research the artist a bit. So I think that's what some of the experiments are going to be. I'm going to do a reaction video where I know a little bit about the artist, one where I know a little bit about the words, and I think I need to lean into what my understanding is of that message. So there you go. Where are we? Where are we? So I'm just trying to see where I am. Mamie. That is where I'm going. I'm looking at books and people and music and whatever makes an impact on me. Yeah. I know when I was at that stage, and I think I still am, but I feel like I'm narrowing it down a little bit, Mamie. But when I remember for me, it that was a really good phase to be in. And it's just like, what's exciting. And sometimes I'd see another person's YouTube video and I'd love the title, and then I felt like they were talking about completely the wrong thing. So I would maybe change the title a little bit, but talk about the things that I felt should have been covered in that video. So that was fine. It's all play, isn't it? It's good. Mamie says to Beth, I agree about the personal impact response on the reactions, and it doesn't matter whether I agree, but seeing an alternative response. I think maybe one of the problems is this brain freeze, and that's something that I'm having to learn and figure out, particularly when the music I found was quite shocking. Not shocking as in rude or anything like that, but shocking to my senses of I don't know what just happened. And it took me a little while to calm myself down and start thinking more clearly. And Tone Deaf is here. Hi. And he says somebody has 1K. Thank you. So Tone Deaf is suggesting cartoonist reacts to. Yeah, I feel like I've got to give a clue. I'm open to cartoonists. Do I say writer, cartoonist? I don't mind. I don't mind. I just think that I need to make it clear that I'm not a music professional. I'm somebody else in the arts creator world who's using music and being inspired by these musicians and creators. Cartoonist reacts. So if I do a video saying cartoonist reacts, you're going to smile, aren't you? And say, I did that. I told her that. So Beth says, like Jessie said, there is no wrong way to react. Yes, Jessie was very sweet. Simply say how the tracks makes you feel. What things you noticed in the videos, your emotion to it, say reaction by a visual cartoon artist. You're making me sound even fancier now. A visual cartoon artist. Oh dear me. Can you see that I don't know whether you can tell, I feel like I'm blushing a little bit. It's just so weird to give, I don't know, the idea of giving yourself a title and different things like that. So, but yeah, I feel like yes, when it was doing a reaction to the music, any opinion I gave about the music, when I was saying I'm unfamiliar with this music, and also in a way that I was hinting that it wasn't my taste, but at the same time being completely aware that I grew up with Wham and Go West, and like I, I'm not saying that I have amazing taste in music. So as I say, I feel like I need to be clearer about that, and then maybe even if it's just to myself in my own head, maybe that'll give me the permission to go off and talk about other things that I feel I'm taking the meaning from. So let me just have a look. Beth says, Mamie, I love that you talk on so many different subjects. I have to be honest, I haven't watched your music reactions yet, but I will check them out, Mamie, and we will know it's you. Yeah, tone deaf. I'm never going to take credit for that. It's who you are. So, yeah, but you're not. I'm going to call you out on this for tone deaf. You don't say poet reacts, do you? Yes. Although saying that, you've got all the music. Have you ever played? Didn't you play the trumpet or something? Am I getting this right? I think you've said about brass instruments. Do you ever play musical instruments on yours? Maybe you should say brass musician reacts to Mamie. Thank you, sweetie. She's thanking Beth for the different comments. And Beth said, also, Joanne, have you figured out why the last couple of videos were glitching? The last night wish video played okay. No, I haven't figured it out. I know on the app it's fine. And then I thought when I watched it on YouTube, it was fine, but I must have blinked or I must have been maybe focusing on a different element. I know people were saying that the video that was in the little box was sometimes glitching. I think that's the one that's glitching, and it's just one that I'm going to keep my eyes on. So Mamie said, "And?" question mark. "I grew up with Tiffany, Spice Girls, and he's 17." Oh, no, you're younger than me. I thought we were the same age. No, you must be younger than me. But my parents gave me an awesome grounding in Motown, ska, country, and much more. Yeah. I used to like country and western. I used to do line dancing. As I say, I don't feel like certainly when I was talking about the music from Ren, I didn't know what I was talking about. And people I know some people have said, "Oh no, he's an artist and he's much more than," but just to say that he was a rapper, I don't know, even just saying that word makes me cringe. It's just like I can't talk about this. But yeah, I have more of a range of different music that I used to listen to. But what's happened is for at least 20 years or so, I haven't been listening to music. Gosh, the light suddenly went brighter. What happened? Yeah, I hadn't been listening to music. So for me, it was all a bonus to think that I'm now being introduced to other music. Also, a couple of the channels, the reaction channels that I see and people that I've interviewed look at the anime and the different cartoons. And I wasn't into that world. My daughter likes it, but she's kind of in and out, so I didn't feel pressure to do that. But then I was looking at some of some videos relating to, is it Studio Ghibli? Is that right? And they were talking about the different director and the ethos of the studio and the different anime. And I was thinking, oh, that's interesting too. But I'm not sure if it was one of you guys. I think it was Sam who told me it was talking. Sam and Erin were talking to me about David Bowie, and again, he was before my time, so I didn't really know his music. Never really resonated with me, but really interested in the interviews he was doing. So, kind of like Mamie, I'm just finding my feet at the moment. But yeah, she's younger than me. If she's Spice Girls and he's 17. It's like, "Stay now." Do, 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 do. Anyway. Oh, I did this video the other day. I don't know whether you saw Fana Music. Fana Music did a video saying you need to improvise on an instrument. And I have a banjo here. And I had about 3 lessons on this banjo, and I couldn't even remember whether you held it like that or like that. And I did a video where I was just playing whatever on this banjo because Fana Music had said to me, "It's good, it's therapeutic, just play anything. It doesn't matter if you can't play, just play, not as in play like a child would play, not play like play an instrument." And so I did this, and then I was singing to the microphone, and it was about a minute and a half, and then at the end of it all, the video just went, "This did not record." And I said to my daughter, I said, "I think you're a time traveler and that you just came back in time and turned it off because you were so embarrassed by what your mum had made." So anyway, I digress. I am experimenting and doing things, but you might not see all of the experiments. Oh dear. Tone Deaf was saying, "I do play, but I honestly forget about the other things I do. I never truly think about it at times." Mm. So Beth is helping me be strong and take on the title. She says, "You are a published cartoonist and visual artist. Own what you are. Be brave and proud." Did you see one of my cartoons? One of the cartoons the other day was like, "I see pride. I see power." Do you remember the film? "I see pride. I see power." And then there's a picture of me going, "What? Who? Yeah, you talking to me?" So I think it's funny that I'm sharing my inner conversation, and I think it's kind of useful for some people to know that that is going on. But know that it isn't just that I'm destroying myself in my own head. I know that I am pleased that I've created and made things, but also in my head, I see pride, I see power. Tone Deaf got it. Cool runnings. Yeah. Okay. And Beth is saying, "I talked to you about Bowie too. I'm a massive lifetime Bowie fan." Yes, I have a feeling there was a few people because it was definitely more than one person. and then obviously as soon as I click one interview with Bowie, then it pops up on the algorithm. But I was really interested, and one of the things that I thought was super interesting. Oh, I'm over the hour. One of the things I was super interesting was that I was going back for more in terms of inspiration, and he was very much saying create, and and you should feel uncomfortable and vulnerable and nervous and that on the edge of things a little bit. So, and then Mamie says, "Please don't. That is a dark time in my musical past." Oh, dear me. I don't think I'll get a copyright strike for me singing E17 because I don't think they'll recognize it. I used to have piano lessons and singing lessons when I was younger because I was so shy. I was so shy that I didn't sing, and I went to join the choir when I was at primary school, and the teacher said to me, "You can't sing and you can't join the choir." And what a cruel thing to say to an 8 or 9-year-old. But anyway, I was doing a lot of dancing and ballet and different things, and my mom, they said maybe if she had some singing lessons, that would help her bring out and have a little bit more confidence and stuff. So anyway, made me saying, "Damn right, have happy speaking on top of my book haul from the UK. Thank you." Beth, tone deaf. She's saying, "Love that film, Cool Runnings." Yeah, my daughter's 11, and we've been buying some what we would think of as classics, and we were saying, "You've got to see Cool Runnings." And there's quite a few films, and some of them she's put her foot down and said, "No, I'm not watching it." But Cool Runnings was one that I think we could persuade her to watch. And then Mamie was saying, "I miss Bowie until the last album, and then disappeared down a rabbit hole." Yeah, we like our rabbit holes, don't we? Yeah. As I said, there's quite a bit. I think it's all been a bit crazy for me, and then being ill and different things. But then I feel like, okay, I'm just starting to catch up. I've got a long list of different videos that people have recommended and different rabbit holes to go down, and a little bit of a push from Beth saying, "Come on, keep going, do more." I'm tone deaf, and from all of you. But yeah, doing some of the stream of consciousness videos and experimenting and doing a little bit more. So I'm feeling a bit embarrassed because I know that I've got to record a video tomorrow. To If I want a video to go out Monday night, I've got to record a video tomorrow. And it's like, dare I say cartoonist or visual? I don't know. I don't know whether I've got the bottle to do it. So, but anyway, you guys, thank you for being with me. I'm gonna go because it's doing my daughter's bedtime and everything. But thank you. Beth is saying, yeah, I don't think I, I don't know. Well, look, I think I was watching something today by Dan Coe, and he was talking about alter ego and that you need to sort of step into your alter ego and just say, "Hey, yes, I'm a cartoonist," and yeah, so you may see me do that tomorrow. So we'll see. Tone Deaf is saying, "I can't wait to see the title." Comic cartoon. Oh, don't you guys. Honestly, if I could hide behind if I could hide behind the microphone. Am I going really red? Just oh dear me. And this must be is this easier when you're a teenager in your 20s? I'm not sure because when I was that age, I was, as I say, I was so painfully shy. Um, but this whole reinvent yourself and then just show up and say, "Hey, I'm a YouTuber." I, I don't know. I just finding it hard to take myself seriously. But anyway, thank you guys for showing up and for chatting to me and saying congratulations and letting me interview you and chat to you. So thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.